competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.
Hello everybody, how are we doing today? Who I am is not important. What's meaningful in the here and now is that I am but a concerned citizen of the world, trying to find meaning and way forward for myself and thus for the entire human race. Sounds preposterous? Well, maybe not. Because as a better man than myself, a man better with words than myself, has aptly said, no man is an island entire of itself. What affects me affects humanity too. In my day-to-day life and interactions, I often hear the oft-repeated, almost hackneyed phrases around sustainability, corporate responsibility, and so on. It's so much part of the jargon and the speaker and conference circuit that it's almost become a cliche in itself. One begins to wonder as to what does the word even mean? And the prophets of doom and the prophets of sustainability, do they even have a common understanding of the word? So let's begin by defining sustainability, the root word of which is sustain, which means, as per the dictionary, to strengthen or support physically or mentally. And herein lies the conundrum. What exactly are we trying to sustain? What are we trying to strengthen or support? Physically and or mentally? Are we even clear on that basics to begin with? A common definition that goes around is, and I quote Brundtland, meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet theirs. Sounds very nice. It has three main pillars: economic, environmental, and social, or colloquially known as people, planet, and profits. Sounds very nice. But is that sustainability? Is that what we are trying to sustain? Are these the things that we want to strengthen and support physically or mentally? Well, therein begins my quest to understand what's the underlying force to drive this movement for sustainability and so on. One must be wary. Overuse of any word turns it into a cliche and devalues its meaning. For example, most students today, whether in engineering or architecture or hotel management or catering or in fine arts, do a semester or a paper or a term on sustainability within their industry and come out with such a low understanding of the term that they become the next generation of misusers of the same term. There is an inherent danger lying in the overuse of any term and misunderstanding of any concept. We need to understand sustainability from many perspectives. Let us start from the basic ones, the main perspectives that exist in any human transaction, namely the perspective of the creator and the perspective of the user of any product or service. For example, a person who buys a hybrid or electric hybrid or a chargeable car feels that they have, by making a wise decision, paid their debt to society and added to the myth of sustainability. But is that really so? The minerals and the materials needed to build all those batteries with high charge capacities, where do they come from? Do people really understand the impact of mining for special minerals like nickel and cadmium or rare earths on the environment? Or just by driving a green car, they have somehow pushed the responsibility for sustainability elsewhere? This is just an example. There are many dimensions to it, but let's just go with it for the moment. And the same applies to the electricity being used. You may not be polluting right now and right this moment while you're driving, but the electricity to charge your car came from somewhere. That could probably have polluted much worse than you might have done individually. Similarly, from the manufacturer's perspective, they might want to ensure that they are seen as eco-friendly or green or having sustainable practices. But is that really the behavior, the pattern of consumption, the cycle of resource usage that we would like to sustain? I wonder. Do you? What behavior, what needs, what wishes and desires are we focusing upon and trying to modulate or change when we talk about sustainability? Let me relate an example or a story of an interaction I once had with a cab driver in Stockholm. Upon landing at Bromma Airport, I was going to my client in Kista, and this conversation happened en route. Judging by my appearance, he assumed that I am of Asian descent and I'm visiting my client here. He had real pent-up anger and frustration about what the Asians, or the Indian and Chinese particularly, were doing to the planet, and how we were somehow responsible for its decline, single-handedly, or the 3 billion of us. He himself had 3 cars, a house, a summer house, and a boat. And he said that if all of you people, and I'm quoting, if all of you people aspire to the same standards as us, there is not enough metal in the earth. So to him, sustainability was that we should stop exactly where we are, and a few billion people should not aspire to a better life or a better living standard as he had enjoyed or others had enjoyed over decades. So for him, sustainability was to somehow maintain the status quo and not topple the balance in any way. Is that sustainable? It's like trying to find that sweet spot in human existence whereby you can say that, oh, this is the point in time where the humans and nature are perfectly in balance, and let's try to stay within this sweet spot and not disrupt this fragile balance. And we have dubbed that as being in harmony with nature. But is that harmonious? So how do we allow billions of people to rise out of poverty and aspire to a better living standard and meet their present needs without compromising the future generations' needs? And how is that dubbed as sustainable? I don't know. That's a part of the quest, right? To find the answers. Come to think of it, what does sustainability even mean in context of our planet or our sun or the solar system and the universe? Does nature endorse sustainability? Does the universe aim to be sustainable? The sun does not think about sustainability. It burns the brightest it can. A single solar flare throws out more material than there might be in the solar system on a regular basis. The sun does not think that if I were to shine or burn 1% less, maybe I can provide this solar system with a couple of million years more. It will burn and continue to burn till it explodes into supernova and then collapses upon itself. Is sustainability a natural concept? Is it inherent in nature? I'm not so sure. Before humans arrived on this planet, there have been multiple extinction level events. And the human existence on this planet, in the entire scheme of things, is nothing more than a blink of an eye. But we are the only species on this planet that have a God complex. And we feel that in a way, we shall survive the next extinction level event. And why not? We should and we could. But not by sustaining our present practices, supporting and enforcing the present behaviors, present consumption patterns, and so on. The Earth's crust below our feet right now is in constant flux and making and breaking continents as we speak. Destruction and creation are the two true forces of nature. Nature is not trying to sustain this planet. The planet is headed towards destruction in the grand scheme of things, and we might not be there when it happens. But as a species, our survival is at stake. So we have to think the long-term future of the human race. And that is the real question. We, the present occupant of this planet, have a massively short-term perspective. We go around screaming, "There is no planet B! There is no planet B!" and other such bromides. But our primary concern is not really about the planet. The primary concern is even more primal, namely, survival of the species. Let me give you an example to illustrate this. In the not so distant past, in fact, in our living memory, we have been using animals as the primary mode of transport. Horses, camels, donkeys, and so on have provided the means of transportation for the bulk of our existence on this planet. Just imagine if somebody had come up with the idea of sustainability at that point in time and said, "Let us make the business of rearing and managing horses more sustainable. Or let us make the business of tanning leather and making saddles and bridles and so on more sustainable." Where would human civilization have been then? Human civilization went forward with leaps and bounds because some people did not think that the present ways are sustainable, but they created newer ways of doing things. The internal combustion engine, when it was created, was a product of countless brilliant minds inventing everything from scratch. Not just the fuel, not just the spark plugs, not just the crankshafts, not just the pistons, but the entire new way of locomotion. Nothing of that sort existed in nature. Animals existed in nature. We domesticated them and we used them. No really big leap over there. But then to harness a different force, that was a big leap. That's what allowed us to jump continents. That is what allowed us to fly. That is what allowed us to reach the stars. Not sustainable practices of rearing horses. That's how this species became the dominant life form on this planet. Life as we know it would not have existed if people had decided, let's just sustain our present way. Support and strengthen, physically or mentally, whatever point in civilization we have reached. That would have been a surefire recipe for extinction. If we humans are to survive, then we need to understand that the laws of nature are the laws of creation and destruction. We must continuously destroy our old ways of working, our old ways of thinking, and our old behavioral patterns, and create newer ways of thinking. There is a vast universe beyond this planet. Unlike the automobile, the next jump in human civilization will come from those who will break the mold and think outside of this unsustainable cycle of sustainable thinking. For those of you who have seen Justice League, I quote the words of Cyborg's dad. "The world's not fixed in the past, only in the future, the not yet, the now." And in the words of another civilization in a galaxy far, far away, I leave you with the final blessing. Live long and prosper. Thank you.
We are creating competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.